In the previous podcast, we discussed tree protection policies and how ordinances guide tree management in urban environments. Today, we're returning to a core arboricultural responsibility, managing risk. But this time, we're focusing specifically on mitigation, because identifying risk is only the first step. The real challenge is deciding what to do about it. Tree risk mitigation involves applying strategies to reduce the likelihood of failure, reduce the chance of impact, or reduce the severity of consequences. The goal is not to eliminate risk entirely. That is not possible. The goal is to reduce risk to an acceptable level. Let's start by reviewing the three components of risk: likelihood of failure, likelihood of impact, and consequences. Mitigation strategies can target one or more of these components. For example, pruning can reduce the likelihood of failure. Changing site use can reduce the likelihood of impact. And in some cases, removing a tree eliminates the risk entirely. Now let's look at the most common mitigation strategies. The first is pruning. As we discussed in earlier podcasts, pruning can remove deadwood, reduce end weight, and improve structure. By reducing mechanical stress, pruning lowers the chance that a branch or tree will fail. Next is support systems. Cabling and bracing can provide additional stability to trees with structural weaknesses. These systems reduce movement and help prevent failure. However, they must be installed and maintained properly. Now let's consider site modification. In some cases, risk can be reduced by changing how an area is used. For example, restricting access beneath a tree can reduce the likelihood of impact. Moving a bench or redirecting a pathway can lower risk without altering the tree itself. Another strategy is monitoring. Trees with known defects may not require immediate action. Instead, they may be inspected regularly to track changes. If conditions worsen, additional actions can be taken. Monitoring allows arborists to manage risk over time. Now let's talk about removal. Tree removal is the most definitive risk mitigation strategy. If a tree presents an unacceptable level of risk and other options are not sufficient, removal may be necessary. As we discussed in podcast 40, this decision should be made carefully. Now let's consider prioritization. Not all risks can be addressed at once. Arborists must prioritize based on factors such as tree condition, location, and target use. High-risk trees in high-use areas are typically addressed first. Now let's talk about communication. Risk mitigation decisions often involve stakeholders. Residents, property owners, and city officials may be affected. Clear communication is essential. Arborists must explain the nature of the risk and the reasons for management decisions. This helps build understanding and trust. Now let's connect this to urban forestry. Risk mitigation is an ongoing process. Trees grow, conditions change, and new risks develop. Effective management requires continuous assessment and adaptation. For the ISA Urban Forest Professional Exam, focus on mitigation strategies. You should understand how pruning reduces risk, the role of cabling and bracing, how site modification affects risk, when monitoring is appropriate, and when removal is necessary. Questions may involve selecting the most appropriate mitigation strategy for a given scenario. Tree risk mitigation is about making informed decisions. It is about balancing safety with preservation. And it is about using the right tools to manage risk over time. In the next podcast, we'll continue with arboricultural practices by looking at emergency response and how arborists manage trees after storms and other unexpected events. You've been listening to the Arborist-podcast. Our goal is to grow our collective knowledge, one domain at a time. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, share, and subscribe to help us keep this momentum. Until next time, let's keep growing this community together.